I'm going to show you this in a geometrical way, so it's really easy to understand. And it just happened that the way I'm showing you this turns out to be very crucial to the way systems are organized and generate the geometry of our reality everywhere we look. So we're going to make a boundary, a circle, and inside it we're going to inscribe a tetrahedron, or an equilateral triangle in this case. The boundary could be a sphere, and the middle triangle could be a tetrahedron. Okay? So this you can visualize in 3D space, in spherical coordinates. Now, the universe is polarized, positive, negative, male, female, white and black. So this has a polarity, right? And generates a reverse equilateral triangle. Now, I'll give you a hint to the ancient civilization part of this lecture we're going to have today. Right away, we have one of the most commonly found symbols in all ancient civilization around the world. A circle with a double triangular polarity inside it, commonly referred as the Star of David, or the Shield of Solomon, the Star of Zion. It's found on the on many walls around the world of ancient civilization. Now, if you keep adding triangles, you get smaller stars, smaller stars of David. And then you can keep adding them again, and you get smaller stars again. Now, at each level of the fractal, you're going to generate a boundary. This is an important part to understand. Each level generates a boundary. Again, boundaries at the next level. And now I'm making smaller boundaries. See, I didn't put them all around because I got lazy. And then now I'm making smaller boundaries again. And smaller, and now they're so small you can't see it. Now, if I give that equation to my computer and got the computer to just keep making boundaries, keep making smaller and smaller triangles, it would continue to do this to infinity until it heated up, melt down, and I'd have to go and get myself a new computer. But assuming it didn't do that, it would keep making smaller and smaller triangles to infinity. And I could give it a code so that every 5 iteration or 6 iteration, it would zoom in so you could see it again, and then starts making more triangles, and then zoom in, and then so on to infinity. However, although I can place an infinite amount of triangles, I will never exceed the first boundary I made for myself. Never. I just showed you how infinity fits in a finite space, or a so-called finite space. Because you can divide to infinity within the circumference of a circle. What does that mean? Why is that important? What does that do to your life? What does that do to the way we do things on this planet? Well, let me give you an example, even if it's just for physics. We built faster and faster and faster accelerators that cost billions of dollars to build, to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Now we're at like millions of times smaller than an atom particle, actually. And we're building accelerators now in Geneva, in Switzerland, that are costing $300 billion, I believe. 5 countries had to get together to build it, right? To get even smaller particles. Well, if we understand this principle, we would understand very quickly that you can keep building larger accelerators and you can keep getting smaller and smaller particles. You can always keep dividing. So we would give up the search for some fundamental particle and that's going to end the search for particles, and we would start to understand that what we need to discover is the dynamics of the division, the dynamics of the quantization. You understand? Not, how far we can go into infinity. Just so that some physicist can put his name on it and get a Nobel Prize for a new particle. But further, what does it mean to you? It means that if this is true, every one of your atoms, every one of your cells has infinite potential in it, has infinite connectivity to everything else. That each one of your atoms is a mini black hole. Because if there is infinite amount of particles in it that can be divided, that means it has infinite mass. Most people say, I can't envision infinity. It's a good point. You might have to take a lot of coffee in the morning. But it's like, I can't visualize infinity. If it's true that I have an infinite nature inside of me, how is it that I can't see it, that I can't visualize it? That's a good point. Well, the reason is that most people try to envision infinitely large when they think of infinity. So that is limited by your senses because it's external to you. However, here we see that through infinite division we can generate singularity, a link to all other things. So when you try to visualize infinity, you might want to turn your senses inwards and go towards the infinitely small that's contained in all of your atoms and all of your cells. Well, just happens that all of the masters that have walked the earth have been trying to tell people about turning their senses inward through meditation, prayers, and so on, to connect with their infinite nature. The Buddha, Jesus, all these people said the temple of heaven is within you and within everything. That's the description of a fractal, my friend. The thing is that it was never appropriately applied to physics. It has huge repercussions in physics because it completely changes the way we look at the structure of reality if everything contains the whole. So you see, already this is a key to understanding your nature and your potential. How many times in the year do you turn your senses inward and connect with your infinite nature? And so